Hi guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new. Hi. Today in this video I'm going to be talking about 9 books that I think are niche book recommendations. Now I say niche because they're just books that I haven't seen a lot of people on BookTube, BookTok, Bookstagram talking about before. If you've heard of these books before, you've heard people talking about these books, maybe these are some of your most favorite books already, I think that's amazing. We definitely have some similar book tastes, but in like my experience, I think that these book recommendations are definitely a little bit more niche, not talked about, just because I haven't seen people talking about them. So I wanted to bring some of my favorite niche books to you guys and recommend some of them for you. So, also a disclaimer, these books are all YA. So if you're not into YA, you're never going to be into YA, then these book recommendations are probably not for you. Even though I would love to say like, hey, just give them a try, because as a 20-year-old, I still read YA pretty frequently because I just think like the genre is good. That's a little bit about my book taste, what's going to be on this list of book recommendations. So with all that being said, let's just get right into the book recommendations. Again, I have 9 books that I think are pretty niche and pretty not talked about. So let's just get right into it. The first book on this list is The Electric Kingdom by David Arnold. This is sci-fi dystopian, post-apocalyptic. There's a little bit of romance in it, again, YA, and it's about a girl named Nico, and she travels with her dog to go on this journey that she was told to go on by her father, who has sadly passed away due to this like fly flu. It's kind of like this sickness that these flies bring on, like these swarms of huge flies, and it's set in New England, which is around where I grew up, so I think that's exciting. If you're in that area, a lot of the things that they put in the book, like a lot of the landmarks, are actually real places, so I think that's cool too, because then you might recognize some of them. But yeah, basically she's traveling to find a magical portal. It is sci-fi because it is like technological, but I guess then you would say it's a little bit magical. Also, it's got like found family trope. It's got, like I said, a little bit of romance, and then a big mystery throughout the entire story you're trying to figure out. There's basically this person who is keeping Nico and her friends that she finds along the way alive, and like giving them food and basically just helping them out along the way without being seen. And you're kind of like, who is this person? Like, this is so odd. Why is this person helping this random group of people? And so there's kind of like that mystery aspect. There's also mystery aspect, like what is she doing? Why is she going to like find this portal? Like what's going on? Basically, you're trying to figure that out the whole time, and I think it's really, really good. I gave it to my boyfriend to read. I loaned it to him and he read it. He really liked it, and he's not like super into books either, so I think it was pretty good. And I think like definitely putting a YA stamp on some of these books is like a little bit upsetting, because I think that a lot of people would gloss over them because they're in the YA section, but I genuinely think that this book was really, really good, and it definitely dealt a lot with like challenges of like being alone, and like the idea that like you have this purpose that you need to like, you know, fulfill, but you don't really know how to do it, and you're just kind of like going along living your life, but you're just kind of confused as to like what your purpose is. But you have the purpose, but it's not like, I don't think I'm making any sense, but that's basically what I think about the book. Okay, so next we have a book that I actually read pretty recently that I've become a little bit obsessed with, and it's What the River Knows by Isabel Ibáñez. This is such a good book. Again, YA. Historical fantasy and like romance, like historical romantasy. Basically, this girl named Inez, she is living in, I don't want to get it wrong, but I believe it's Argentina with her, it is Argentina. So she lives in Argentina with her aunt because her parents are archaeologists and they study basically Egyptian history, and they're in Egypt like on a dig site learning about just everything they can and like digging up Egyptian stuff. It's historical because it's set in like the 1800s, and basically Inez gets a letter that her parents have passed away after sending them letters, multiple letters year after year, asking if she can join them in Egypt because she has like a yearning to go and like be an archaeologist. And she ends up on a boat by herself going to Egypt to kind of figure out what happened to her parents, because the letter doesn't really say anything, and meet with her uncle, who is not the one married to her aunt, like a different uncle. I think one of them is like her mom's sister. I think the aunt was like her mom's sister, and like the uncle was like her dad's brother, or maybe like vice versa, like the aunt was the dad's sister and then like the uncle was the mom's sister. I'm not entirely sure. Different aunts and uncles, they're not married to each other. But anyway, she ends up being a part of the uncle's like digging to find Cleopatra's tomb, and basically Inez ends up really drawn to it. She's got this kind of like old magic where she can like seek out things, and that's kind of like where the story starts, and like why he's like, oh, okay, you can stay on my site because I need you. There's a romance with the uncle's assistant, Whit, who is an undetermined age. I have no idea how old this man is. I've read both the books. It's a duology, and I still don't have any idea how old this man is, but whatever. I'm over it, okay? I can't think about it too hard because I'm just like, well, he could be like 35 and she's like freshly 18. I don't know, but it's the 1800s. What do you expect? You know? Anyway. Basically, a lot of stuff happens. There's mysteries. You're kind of trying to figure out what happened to her parents. Like, you're trying to find out how they died. And basically, Inez thinks that it wasn't an accident and someone killed them, and it was on purpose, and like someone murdered her parents. Basically, it's a mystery because you're trying to figure out, like, you know, is it true that someone murdered her parents? Like, who was it? If it is true, you're also trying to figure out just kind of like who her uncle is as a person, his like associates, who they are as a person. You're trying to figure out like why so many people are looking for this same artifact, Cleopatra, and just kind of a bunch of stuff. And I think it's super interesting if you're into anything Egyptian. Definitely, I think this is a good read for you because I don't think that it's historically accurate, just because I think it's got a lot of like magical elements to it, so I don't think that it's very realistic by any right. But I think this would be a great choice of a book if you're into anything kind of like Egyptian lore related. I don't think it's historically accurate. I don't know a ton about Egypt and like the history of it and like if it's historically accurate, but I'm just saying like I don't think it is because it's got a lot of like magical elements to it, so it's still good nonetheless. Number 3 is YA again, but it's Warcross by Marie Lu. Now, if you know anything about my book taste, I rant and rave about Marie Lu. I think she's one of my favorite, if not my favorite, YA author. I think she's so good. I think she writes really good. I fell in love with her writing when I was like in middle school, and I've just never stopped. I've bought and read almost everything that she's written. I don't want to say everything because I know there's a couple things that she's written that I haven't read that I just don't think I would be interested in. However, everything that she's written that I am interested in, I've read and I've loved. But anyway, this is Warcross. This is sci-fi dystopian. There's a romance in it. Marie Lu is known for having subplot romances in a lot of her books, but this one's a little bit more present into the plot than like a subplot. It's definitely like not the main plot, but it is going on, but there's also like a whole other thing, mystery aspect happening. Our main character, Amika, is a hacker, and she tracks down players in this game. It's like a VR game. It's giving Ready Player One, if you've ever read that book or seen that movie. It's kind of like that vibe where the game, everyone plays it, you know, people's lives are kind of like more in the game than they're out of the game, and kind of like everything that you do is in the game. It's like it's VR. I believe they have like stuff they put on. It might also be like in their head, like chips in their brains, but I'm not entirely sure. Can't remember. I read this so long ago. I need to reread it actually, but basically this game is really important, and Amika tracks down people inside the game and gets money for like throwing people that are like illegally playing the game like out of it. And basically the game maker Hideo finds out and like hires her to help him with like his security problems and like help him be like basically like a security officer in the game for like his security issues, and they end up falling in love. So it's definitely not the same like plot line as Ready Player One, but it's got the same kind of vibes. It probably was loosely inspired by Ready Player One because it's got the same like, oh, you're playing this game that everyone's lives kind of revolve around now, like that type of situation. Anyway, moving on. Hotel Magnifique by Emily J. Taylor. This is YA mystery, romance, fantasy. This is kind of like Caraval. I think people that liked Caraval would really like this story. It's basically about a magical hotel that our main character, Janie, I think is how you say it, goes there, and she ends up getting hired to work at this hotel and has to kind of like figure out a way out because she signs a contract and then finds out that it's completely unbreakable and there's absolutely no way way for her to get out of this job now that she's signed up for it, and she finds out a lot of like really dark and like magical secrets about this hotel, and I just think the whole thing is like a wild ride and super easy to read. I think my sister read it in like one car ride one time, and it was like, she loved it. She was like literally eating it up. It's a great book. I think it's really good, and it definitely reminds me a lot of Caraval, so if you liked that, you would definitely like this. There's also a romance with the doorman that she meets named Belle. Number 5 is just a plain YA romance, but it's got a little bit of magical realism to it, and that's Instant Karma by Marissa Meyer. This is the first book on here that's by her, but it's not the last. I do really like Marissa Meyer. She is probably second to Marie Lu in the YA genre, but this one is one that I read over the summer like a few years ago, and I loved it instantly. It was so good. It was such a cute romance. The character development for both the guy and the girl love interests was just like so well thought out and like very mature, even though they were just high schoolers, and I thought that it was great. Basically, the premise of it is the main character, Prudence, she's kind of judgy. She lives in this like coastal town where like tourism is really popular, but she like hates it because the tourists are dirty and they're mean, and basically she's just very judgmental over these like tourists, and she wishes that she could like bring karma to them, and then after she goes out to eat one day, she ends up being able to bring karma to people and basically like getting revenge on these tourists that she's been seeing all the time, like basically ruining her coastal town. And the one person that she would love to get the most, not revenge, but like give the most karma to is her lab partner Quinn, who they're kind of like academic rivals, and they end up falling in love. And I think it's super cute and basically like enemies to lovers, really environmentally friendly, like just the book in general, because our main character is really into like her coastal town and the environment and stuff. So if that's something that you're looking for in a book, you can find it in this one. So next up we have and I know the last one I said was regular romance, but this is literally just a YA contemporary romance, and it's called Between You, Me, and the Honeybees by Amelia Diane Combs, I think is how you pronounce that. And like I said, it's just a contemporary romance, but it's YA. It's about a girl named Josie who lives in a small town in California, and her family owns like a beekeeping slash like honey business, and her neighbor is her family's like rival company, and her parents really want her to go to college. Like Josie's really smart, and they want her to like move away and go out of state for college, but all she wants to do is stay at home and take over the family business. And she ends up falling in love with the son of her neighbors, so like her rival, the son of her family's rival beekeeping company basically. And the romance is really sweet. It's super cute because it's YA, so like I feel like YA romances are usually super sweet and super cute, but I just think like genuinely this book is super cute. And the whole idea, I don't want to spoil it, but the thing that happens at the end is just like so cute, and I just couldn't get over it the whole time. I was like, oh my god, this is so cute. So, and it's kind of like enemies to lovers vibes. It's super fun. I think like their banter is really good, and then like when they actually get together, like their relationship is good. It's kind of like they keep that banter, which sometimes drops when characters get together. Like the banter that they had before doesn't carry over into the relationship, but I think like it's realistic that it would, and this one they like definitely do keep that same like funny banter with each other, and I think it's like fun to read. Next I have another just regular romance, but it's a little bit more wacky. It's called All the Right Reasons, and it's by Bethany Mangle, I think is how you say that. I'm gonna say that literally after every single name, but it's about a girl named Kara whose dad cheated on her mom, and her mom enters to go onto this like bachelorette kind of situation, but the kids get to pick who their parents like fall in love with, or like who their parents like pick at the end of the show. So Kara has to go with her mom and be on this show, and she meets a bunch of other like dads and their kids, and she also meets one of the contestants, Connor, who she kind of has like a romance with on set, even though it's like forbidden. So it's like forbidden love, and like also you're getting like a really sweet romance between like her mom finding love after she's been cheated on, and like just basically two cute romances in one book. Okay, next we have a little stray from the regular romances, but another Marissa Meyer book. It's Renegades, which I think that you guys have probably heard about. This is pretty popular. However, I don't think it's as popular as it could be, so that's why I'm recommending it. It's YA sci-fi dystopian. There is a romance in it, but it's literally the entire series long romance. Like, it's a slow burn. Enemies to lovers type situation, like literally just very slow burn, but it's good, and I think it's really good. I think it's done really well. Like, as slow as it is, I genuinely think it's done really well. Anyway, it's kind of like a superhero book. Our main character Nova is a part of the Anarchists, which is like the evil villain group of this world, and she wants to get revenge over the Renegades, who are like the good guys. And basically she has this plan to like go there and try out to be like one of the superheroes, because they hold like tryouts because they're trying to like make this whole big team. And she passes and joins one of the like Renegades in training group and meets Adrian, who is the son of this world's like leaders basically. So, and that's like who the romance is between, but obviously he's like super good and she's like not, so it's enemies to love. It's definitely good. It goes like up and down the roller coaster. I definitely think that one of the best things about this series, this trilogy, is that the middle book doesn't have middle book syndrome. All three books are so good, so I can't recommend this series enough. Okay, and last but certainly not least, we have something that I've literally never seen anyone talking about, and this is called The Hive by Barry Lyga. I don't think that there's a romance in this, however there could be. I didn't remember there being one, and I couldn't find anyone talking about one in the reviews that I read, so if there is one and I didn't remember it, it probably wasn't that memorable. But basically this is YA again, sci-fi, dystopian, like mystery type thriller almost a little bit, and it's about how like social media runs the world. It's a little bit about cancel culture, which I think is interesting because like I've never really read a book, and I'm sure there's more out there that are about this, but this was just like the first book that I ever read that was kind of like about that, and like a very plausible thing. Basically The Hive is like this social media platform where people get canceled, condemned, and like physically punished in the real world for things that they do online, and one of Cassie, our main character's classmates, pressures her into kind of making like a bad joke online, and she has to like hide away from people so that she doesn't get like hurt and like basically like abused for the joke that she said. And she meets up with like this hive underground like outcast group and basically finds out so much about the real world and like kind of like how the hive works and stuff, and like basically just stuff that she never really knew before about this kind of like world. And I think it's just really interesting. It's definitely like a hot take on like cancel culture and kind of just like how it could evolve over time and turn into something that could be like really bad for society and just kind of like a little bit too real. But I definitely think that it's still really good, and it still is like a good story, and I really liked it, even though it was like a little too real. But with that being said, that is all 9 niche book recommendations that I have for you. Please comment if you've read any of these before. Also comment if there's any books that you've read that have this similar vibe to the books that I recommended, because all of these books I've really loved. So if you have any recommendations for me that are similar vibes of these books that I've recommended to you guys, then please let me know, because I'm always looking for book recommendations. Also, please subscribe if you're new so that you can keep up with things I'm reading, and hopefully later on getting more book recommendations if you did like these. If you didn't, I will try to do different ones. I do have another video on my channel recommending more popular books to people that want to get into reading and get into like the online book community. So if that is more your speed, then you can definitely go check that video out. But with all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed, and hopefully I will see you guys in the next one. Bye! Mwah!